Good day, viewers. Thank you for tuning in. If you're here for the latest news, stay with me and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Your support really matters. Today we've got a major development in one of Nigeria's headline cases. Nnamdi Kanu, leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, has decided to defend himself in court after his team of lawyers withdrew from his trial. Here's the gist, and we'll unpack what this means, how we got here, and what could be next. So what exactly happened? On Thursday, at the Federal High Court Abuja, lead counsel for Kanu Agabi, San, formally applied to withdraw from representing him. He, along with several other senior advocates of Nigeria, SANS, on Kanu's defense team, pulled out of the case. Kanu himself confirmed in court that he would for now represent himself. When the judge, James Omotosho, asked whether the court should appoint a lawyer for Kanu, he declined. He told the court he wished to carry on his defense personally. In his opening comments, Kanu argued that the court lacked jurisdiction to try him on the charges before it charges related to terrorism and alleged activities of IPOB. He also filed a motion earlier this week, in which he said he's ready to proceed with his defense and plans to call 2-3 witnesses, split into two categories: ordinary but material witnesses, and vital and compellable witnesses under Section 232 of the Evidence Act, 2011. Among the people he intends to call are high-profile figures, former ministers, former army chiefs, governors. Further, Kanu asked for a 90-day period to enable him prepare and conclude his defense, given the number of witnesses and complexity of the case. Why is this development significant? Let's break it down. Representation shift. It's unusual for a defendant in a high-profile, complex trial with terrorism, treasonable felony implications, to decide to go it alone. That the SANS withdrew suggests there were disagreements or a breakdown in the defense team's relationship with Kanu. Jurisdiction challenge. By arguing the court lacks jurisdiction, Kanu is attacking the foundation of the trial. If the court accepts that view, it could undermine the prosecution's case or lead to procedural delays. Witness list and scope. The list of compellable witnesses includes major figures, ministers, governors, former military, intel chiefs. That shows Kanu is adopting a strategy beyond the standard defense. He's signaling that his defense will involve political context, institutional actors, perhaps even interrogation of state machinery. Timeframe and strategic implications. The request for 90 days gives an indication that Kanu believes the defense will be extensive. From the prosecution, government side, this also introduces additional time, which may shift dynamics: public interest, political context, security implications. Broader implications. The case is already highly politicized. IPOB, Biafra agitation, national security, secession debates. Kanu's decision to represent himself may be interpreted by supporters as an act of conviction, by critics or legal analysts as a risky move, given he gives up professional legal representation in a high-stakes trial. What are some of the immediate next steps and things to watch? The court has adjourned the matter to Friday, the 24th of October, 2025, for Kanu to open his defense. We will watch how Kanu presents his first submissions, how the prosecution responds, and what the judge's tone will be given the changed dynamic. It will be important to see whether Kanu still engages a lawyer later or remains self-represented. Remember, he said, for now, he would defend himself, but the door is not closed. Whether the court grants the 90-day timeline he requested, and how it manages the list of witnesses, many of which are high-profile and may present logistical availability challenges. How the public, media, and political actors respond. From IPOB supporters, Southeast region stakeholders, national commentary. How this influences perceptions of the legal process, fairness, national unity, rule of law in Nigeria. Let's also reflect briefly on what this means in a broader Nigerian context. This case touches on constitutional law, jurisdiction, fair trial rights, national security, terrorism and treason allegations, regional politics, Southeast, Biafra ideology, and the interplay of law and politics. For many in the Southeast region and IPOB supporters, Kanu's trial has become symbolic, a rallying point, a perceived fight against marginalization. On the other hand, the government views the matter through the lens of national integrity, security, prevention of secessionist agitation. Kanu's move to self-represent could be seen as raising the stakes further. He may believe that to tell his story fully, he must be the one in the lead. For Nigeria's legal system, the case raises questions. When you have a defendant in a politically sensitive case opting to self-represent, how does the court ensure a fair, efficient process? How does the system balance speed, proper representation, national interest, and justice? To you as a viewer, what do you think? Do you believe Kanu defending himself is a bold and principled move, or risky and perhaps misstrategized? Do you feel the court will grant the timeline and allow the witnesses he listed? Will this change the outcome, or just prolong the case? Drop your views in the comments below. Now, let's talk deeper about what really led to this current twist. From what many reports are suggesting, tension has been building between Nnamdi Kanu and some members of his legal team for a while. Some insiders claim there were disagreements about legal strategy, especially on how to approach the charges and the pace of the proceedings. Others say it had to do with communication breakdowns and frustration over the slow movement of the trial. Remember, this case has dragged on since 2015, with several arrests, court rulings, and appeals. Nnamdi Kanu was first charged with treasonable felony, and later with terrorism-related offenses after the proscription of IPOB in 2017. He was granted bail in 2017, fled the country after a military operation in his hometown in Abia State, and was later rearrested and returned to Nigeria in 2021. Since then, he's been held in the custody of the Department of State Services, DSS. Now, defending yourself in a court like this, especially a Federal High Court, is no small task. Kanu is clearly educated and articulate, but handling a case that involves complex legal arguments, constitutional questions, and terrorism laws requires detailed knowledge of procedure and evidence. Still, he has insisted that no one can tell his story better than himself. And honestly, that's a strong statement. It shows confidence, but also a deep frustration with how things have gone so far. But let's be honest, many Nigerians are divided about this. Some people are saying, yes, let him speak for himself. Maybe the truth will come out clearly. Others are saying, this could be a risky move, even if you're right. You need legal experts to help you navigate the process. If you think about it, this moment also highlights something broader about how Nigerians view justice and fairness. A lot of people in the country, especially in the Southeast, believe that the judiciary and the government have not treated Kanu fairly. They point to court orders that were not obeyed, delays, and what they see as selective application of justice. On the other hand, the government has maintained that the case is strictly about national security and law and order, not politics. And now that his lawyers have stepped back, the case is taking a new turn. Even if the court allows Kanu to represent himself, he will still need to follow due process, submit documents, question witnesses, respond to the prosecution's case, and cross-examine people. That's a big responsibility. Now, let's also look at the emotional and symbolic side of this story. Whether you agree with Kanu or not, you can't deny that he has become a major figure in Nigeria's political conversation. His supporters see him as someone fighting for the rights and recognition of the Igbo people. His critics see him as someone whose rhetoric has divided the country. This makes every new move he makes, including this one, carry a lot of weight. And it's also worth noting that his decision to defend himself came shortly after several of his supporters have been urging the government to release him unconditionally, or at least grant him bail again. But the Attorney General's office has maintained that his detention is lawful and that the trial must run its full course. Now, Here's where the twist could come in. If Kanu successfully defends himself and begins calling those high-profile witnesses he mentioned, former ministers, governors, and even retired military chiefs, this case could open up new angles. It could expose certain behind-the-scenes dealings and challenge official narratives about what IPOB really represents and how the government handled the agitation. But if the court rules against him, and he's convicted without strong legal backing, it could also raise new questions about fairness and whether he truly got a chance to present his side properly. So, Nigerians are watching closely. The streets are talking. Social media is buzzing with different opinions, some calling him brave, others calling him stubborn. But one thing is sure, this case is about more than one man. It's about justice, identity, and how Nigeria handles dissent and political tension. Before I continue to the next part of this gist, where we'll talk about how this could affect the Southeast region politically and what reactions are coming from groups like Ohanaeze Ndigbo and IPOB's leadership abroad, please take a quick moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it so that more people can join this discussion.